Got Your Back Pod Stream is brought to you by Mr. Dirk. From casual wear to suits and formals, Mr. Dirk helps you find the perfect fit with the right look for any occasion. Step up your wardrobe at MrDirk.com.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. You can't trust a forward. Listen to my words tonight. Don't just fall in love with my face. I used to be somewhat of a big deal, wheeling, dealing, no bucket in the warm-up, people carrying my bags in. How many times do I have to tell you through text, let's talk about the PK? That is a dirty hit that needs a response. I like a stiff, stout pillow. We'd rather dress nobody than dress you.
The only thing I like better than easy points are free Slurpees.
Goalies embellish all the time. He tumbled over like he was hit by a Zamboni. Am I this good, or are we just winning by 7 goals, and that's why I'm out here? Just say, I know you're right, Struddy. Just get it out. I think I am the modern-day Ronnie Dangerfield.
Yeah, I get no respect.
And now, Weiss Johnson presents Struddy's World. Here's your host, a man whose case to make the Hall of Fame was only ever hindered by what he did on the ice, Jason Strudwick.
Oh, man, what a lady. How are we doing today, everybody? Game 5, a possible closeout Game 5 in Vegas for the Edmonton Oilers. We've got a jam-packed show for you. We're going to tell you what Vegas is going to do to counteract what the Oilers have done in Game 4. The show is brought to you by our good buddies over at Weiss Johnson Heating and Air Conditioning. Weiss Johnson is proud to host their annual golf tournament in support of the Edmonton Down Syndrome Society on June 3rd at the beautiful Ranch Golf and Country Club, and they'd love to see you there. All proceeds directly support the Society's efforts to meet the evolving needs of the Down Syndrome community. To purchase your tickets, email Dennis at info@weiss-johnson.com. It's going to be a fun time. The courses are looking good. Oh, they're looking good. Today we've got we've got Jack Michaels, the voice of the Edmonton Oilers, joining us in about 10 minutes time. We've got Darren Dreger joining us momentarily, and then Zubie will be in from Kelowna. Then there's me, and I'm sitting here comfortably in my home office. We like to call it the Adrenaline Diesel Home Studio. If you need a part manufactured, replicated, or repaired, Adrenaline Diesel has you covered with their brand new machine shop. Visit adrenalinediesel.ca. Zubie, Game 5 doesn't sound quite the same as Game 7, but for Oilers fans, it should, because they can close it out tonight with a massive win down in Vegas, and most importantly, get rest for some players, then get other guys like Trent Frederick skating. How is your excitement level for this big tilt tonight?
It's high. It's an 8 or a 9. You gotta pace yourself, and if you're planning on 3 or 4 rounds of this stuff. So I'll say it's an 8 or a 9. I got that gut feeling like it's something good for the Oilers. I think they're gonna have to weather a storm, but I think they can do it.
I think the Oilers fans are a little bit nervous. You know what makes them relaxed? The Weiss Johnson jingle.
Yeah.
Let's hit the jingle.
Weiss Johnson, whoa.
That always brings them down. It brings them down, or brings them down. The nervous energy comes down. They hear that. It brings them more excitement when the Oilers win. So
Puts
big
us at
tilt
ease,
tonight.
no doubt.
Relaxes us. So I'm going to go through last game we've been highlighting what the Oilers need to do. Today we're going to highlight what the Vegas Golden Knights are going to do. This is what they're going to do. So I've got a 3-step project for them to accomplish. And if they do this, it's going to be a hard night for the Oilers. Number 1, they're going to come out and try to get the lead right away. They want to get out and get that lead, score first. It's going to be massive. Number 2, they're going to protect their net and attack the Oilers' net. Last game, especially in the first period, the Oilers were 2-stepping in the blue paint beside Adin Hill, and Adin was losing it, like we see every goalie do eventually when they're pushed around. And to me, it looked like Stu Skinner had a comfortable night in the pipes. There wasn't a lot of, he made some good saves, but he wasn't uncomfortable because of the contact. Look for that today. 5-on-5, they're going to come out and try to play their best game of the series. They're going to make sure that they're tight and orderly 5-on-5. And lastly, they need some goals from guys who haven't been scoring. Paging Dorofeyev, paging Buchnevich. Those two combined for 58 goals this season. They have 2 in the playoffs, Zubie. So that's my 4-step point for Oilers fans to watch for tonight against Vegas. What do you think is the high point in there for the Vegas?
Well, I just wonder, they gotta get more in Stu's grill, because Stu played a perfect game last game, and the Oilers played a perfect game defensively in front of him of what they need to give him. He had some challenging saves he had to make, but it was all, as we've talked about before, predictable. They made it a very predictable game for him. And so I expect that might be high on Vegas's list, getting to Stu Skinner, getting to the crease. Do you think we'll see, you predict they're going to go hard, but do you think we're going to see a big collision? Do you think we're going to see Stu on his butt, something in the first period that might feel like a return fire of what happened in game 4?
Really good question. I believe there will be contact, not because of retribution, but because they have to make Stu uncomfortable, right? You look at some of the incidental contact the Oilers had with Adin Hill. Now, the Kane one, he was cross-checked in. Jan marked the penalty. Yeah. I believe he was tripped by Adin Hill. But, Hyman goes and just stands right beside him in the blue paint. He cross-checks him back. So they're going to, when there's a shot at the net and it's a covered up puck, they're going to come and stop right in front of him and get in his grill. And I'm suspecting the Oilers defense should know this already, and they're going to be pushing guys back in those areas. So just to review, the Vegas is going to want to get the lead. They're going to want to protect their net and get to the Oilers net. 5-on Phantom game is going to be tight. And then 2 guys I'm watching for tonight, Dorofeev and Buchnevich. They've had chances, especially Buchnevich, whose name I'm butchering. But that guy is I think he's going to try to have an impact. If those 2 don't, I think it's going to be tough for them to get this win tonight. Let's go into our digital sound box, brought to you by Douglas Mattresses. If you're like me, you know there's nothing better than a good night's sleep after a long day. Your best sleep is just around the corner. With every mattress there, including a free sleep bundle that includes 2 memory foam pillows, a complete set of luxury sheets, and more. Visit the Douglas Mattress Store in Manchester Square here in Edmonton, or check them out at douglas.ca/GYB. Bruce Cassidy spoke yesterday, and he was very clear about what he thought his plan was. Let's hear his thoughts on what the road ahead may look like. Zubie.
It's hard to win. But, if you start with one at home, a building we've typically played well in. So, it's a small picture right now, right? Take care of business tomorrow, be ready to play, see if you can get a lead by playing the right way, having more urgency than them, more desperation. That word now comes into play, because it's it. If we don't win, we're done. So there needs to be somewhat level of that without taking you outside of your game, and then go from there. That's it. It's cliche, but it is one game at a time. We have to win one game 3 times in a row. That's kind of what's in front of us.
It's going to be tough. There's no doubt about it. And the idea of beating the Oilers 3 times in a row must be daunting, but the Oilers just did it against LA. In fact, it wasn't just 3 times. They beat them 4 times in a row. So I think what would worry me if I'm an Oilers fan in this situation, Zub, is that Vegas has won Stanley Cup. They have guys on that team that have been through it before. And I think their level of panic, although, they'll be desperate, as Bruce Cassidy just spoke about, I think they know that they just have to win a period. Win the first period, and let's worry about the next period. They don't have to win 9 periods in a row to get this series done.
Do you think that from the mental standpoint, I almost feel like when you're down 3-1, this is the hardest one to win. Game 5, if you get over that, you didn't go down in 5. You're going back to the other city with house money. If you could pull that one off, you're going back home. So I feel like game 5 mentally is kind of the hardest one to overcome in the 3-1 deficit. Do you agree with that?
I think so. I think, though, the fact that you're playing at home makes it easier, and that because you're going to be motivated. And they've played well in that building, right? That's a tough building to play on. They've won in that building. So I think it is tough in that, or easier in that way. But listen, the Oilers don't want this to go on any longer either. They don't want to get injured. They don't want to get any more tired. They want to get this over with. And quite honestly, you don't want to give any juice, any life to Vegas. The Oilers, after losing game 3, they shut it down right away and won game 4. And I expect the same thing. Vegas was shut out last game. And let's hear from Bruce Cassidy again in our Douglas Mattress digital inbox and hear his thought on what it means or who and how they have to get scoring.
I think there's some players in this series offensively that they need to, sometimes it's a short sample size, but we're getting to game 5. We have guys that haven't put up points, that scored a lot of goals for us this year in points. So it's time. It's time, right? So, that's part of getting our offense going. The guys you've relied on all year to been consistently producing. It's time to produce.
And there it is, Dorofeev and Buchnevich. Those are the two guys, Zubes, that got to find it. They got to find that scoring for Vegas. Now, fortunately, the Oilers seem to understand how to keep them off the score sheet and kind of anticipate where they're trying to be and what they're trying to do. But make no mistake, those two, there's a lot of weight on their shoulders tonight, and they have to score if this team's going to win.
Yeah. Rye Guy on the stream here says, unless Vegas clones Eichel, they don't have the depth. If you look at their lineup, they have tons of depth, but Eichel's been by far their best player, I think, in this series. But although he was quiet last game as well, I don't think he even got a shot, or if he did, it was only in the final couple minutes.
Yeah, and Hurdle, where's Hurdle been? They had so much depth scoring, they haven't been able to score a lot. But at the end of the day, if your big guns that have combined for almost 60 goals between them aren't scoring, it's a bit of a problem for them. So I think I'm looking for if the Oilers can keep those guys off the sheet, at the end of the night, I'd say I'd feel pretty good about what the Oilers have maybe accomplished tonight as far as a win. All right, so we'll review one more time. Get the lead, protect the nets, go at the Oilers net, 5-on-5 game tight, and then finding some goals from Dorofeev and Buchnevich. That is the blueprint for Vegas. Yeah. We're going to pause when we come back. We're going to get the blueprint for the Oilers from the man himself, the voice of the Edmonton Oilers, Jack Michaels, live from the rink down there in Vegas, fresh off a hot roll at the craps table.
Well, I wish that were the case, but sadly, I'm here today just a humble broadcaster as usual. Struddy, I think Bruce is exactly right. I mean, it's hard to believe, but in this series, Vegas's top 5 goal scorers have 0 goals, and 4 of them have 0 points. So, you combine that with a very pedestrian series thus far from Adin Hill. Game 4 was by far his best, and it wasn't necessarily lights out. He still gave up 3. Obviously, he didn't get any run support, but you combine lack of scoring at the top end and not enough saves, it's no surprise Edmonton's up 3-1.
Yeah, it's really going well for him. So I believe that Vegas is going to get to the blue paint, much like we saw the Oilers do that against them. Is that something that you'd see as well? And do the Oilers have the personnel to maybe prevent them from getting to that blue paint and making life uncomfortable for Stuart Skinner?
Well, it's one thing to get to the blue paint, but they're also having to deal with it at their other end. And Bruce Cassidy told me before this series started, Louis and I had a chance to talk to him out at their practice facility before game 1. And he said the front of the net is absolutely going to be imperative in this series. And when Edmonton has struggled this year, it's been because they've been outplayed in front of the net. But the additions of Kane and Frederick have completely taken that away as any potential weakness, because now on all 4 lines, essentially, you've got an agitator. You've got a guy playing in straight lines. And when you're occupied, and Struddy, I know you remember this well, when you're occupied with driving guys from your own net front, sometimes there's a sacrifice at the other. And I absolutely agree with you that Vegas needs to do more of that. But I would also suggest that with the additions of Kane and Frederick, I'm not sure they're as equipped to do it as the Oilers are, quite frankly. I don't think Ivan Barbashev is a heavier player than Evander Kane. I don't necessarily think Pavel Dorofeev is going to remind anyone of a Trent Frederick. So I think some of their weaponry needs to get going, but I'm not necessarily sure it's per se front of the net. It's time to finish chances. They've got one guy in double-digit shots on goal in this series, and that guy, Tomas Hertl, 6 of his 10 came in one game. They've been held in check, and I think the Oilers' underrated decor, when you consider the fact that you've got Nurse and Bouchard, who are criticized in and outside the market, Klingberg coming off 2 hip surgeries, Brett Kulak was a 4th-round pick. You never lose that chip on your shoulder. Troy Stetcher, who always has played with a chip on his shoulder, and Jake Wallman, who inexplicably Detroit all of a sudden decided they didn't want. I think you've got a decor that's heard all the whispers that they can't run the table without Matthias Ekholm. Well, I think in 2 of the 4 games of this series, Vegas has had very little going on offensively.
And we're getting up to speed with Jack Michaels, and it's brought to you by Timber House Developments, where if you can dream it, they can make it happen. A truly customized building experience. They've got you covered. Every house is unique. Every customer is like family. See what you can dream up together. Contact timberhouse.ca. Jack, you were at practice. Any changes or adjustments to the lines?
No, and I wouldn't expect any. I thought Kasperi Kapanen came like the proverbial, cannon fire. I mean, he was explosive early, had the two big hits on one of his first shifts in the game, and I think played with a kind of pace that allowed Leon Draisaitl to play with the pace that he needs to play with. Sometimes I think when Leon, whenever he does turn the puck over, usually it's an indicator that he's button hooking and getting himself a little stationary. Kasperi Kapanen, I thought, was a perfect complement, and Draisaitl plays well with everyone, but I think Podkolzin has been a great fit on his left side all year long, despite the lack of finish. He's not a goal scorer, but he retrieves pucks and makes things a little bit easier for Leon in terms of showing off his skill. I think the other thing, Troy Stecher on the back end, and it showed in his minutes, Paul Coffey is more comfortable playing Troy Stecher 5-on-5. I think he sees Emberson as potentially a better penalty killer, but 5-on-5, he's more comfortable with Stecher. And I also think the Stecher-Nurse pair is a great one. I just talked to Darnell in the locker room, and he says the thing about Stecher is, number one, he's going to work his absolute tail off, and number two, I know where he is at all times. So if I want to explore the offensive facets of my game, I know he's got my back.
Leon Draisaitl had a great game against Jack Eichel. The most muted, as you said, Jack Eichel game of the series. Tonight, do they need to get more offense out of that line, or is it enough for him to shut down when he can play against Eichel, shut him down in his line?
I think Leon's capable of doing just about everything on the ice you have to do. I mean, he can neutralize Eichel and still deliver a 3-point night. I don't necessarily think he's got the finishers on his line that you'd be accustomed to seeing, but that doesn't mean that at the end of periods, in certain select spots when he is put up with Connor McDavid, that he's not going to find a way to contribute on the score sheet. I mean, you're talking about in McDavid and Draisaitl, they just passed the 82-game mark in playoffs, and you're talking about 130 and 120-point players in a full season of playoff hockey, when the opposition is absolutely at its peak and when the games are supposedly most difficult. And those guys, if you were to use their playoff numbers for their full seasons, they'd be top three for both of them. I mean, that's how good they are. So, again, I think Leon's capable of just about anything you want to do on a playing surface. It's incumbent upon, and as Bruce Cassidy mentioned at the top of your show, his top-end players have to produce tonight. I mean, you can't win a series against the Edmonton Oilers with your 5 top goal scorers going bagel in a series. You're not going to win the series that way. And quite frankly, Struddy, I'd extend it to the back end as well. I mean, I love Shea Theodore, but he's got 1 point in this series. He has not been, the factor that I thought he may be. And he's a point producer from that back end. So they need help in all areas. And Adin Hill has got to outplay the opposing goaltender. He has not done that in any game this series.
I love that you brought up Adin Hill. We could see he was distracted in the first period, looking for different ways to
Jordan Binnington-esque.
He was. Do you get a sense at all from being around both teams or in media scrums that is something that they want Adin Hill to get away from, or do they want him to play with some fire from within the crease?
Well, again, he didn't get any goals in game 4. I thought that was Adin Hill's best game of the series. I don't necessarily think it was because he was getting roughed up. I think what Adin Hill needs to do, and you heard Craig Berube, 3 years ago, when he said, I want Jordan Binnington to do one thing, and that's stop the puck. Forget all the other stuff. And Bruce Cassidy, quite frankly, I think, he hasn't come out and said it, although he did allude to it a little bit earlier in the series, that Adin Hill's got to be the best goalie on the ice in the next 3 games for Vegas to have any shot to win. And part of that is showing the kind of composure that supposedly comes with winning a Stanley Cup. I think the the tension of the moment, whatever. I mean, he's played intense moments. I'm not going to say that was at play in that particular game. But again, the additions of Kane and Frederick have given Edmonton supplemental agitators so it doesn't have to be Corey Perry game in, game out. And when you've got those guys, it not only has your goaltender expending a lot of energy, but again, Struddy, it drains you when you're constantly clearing guys out of there. When you're constantly worried about a guy, as Louis would say, buzzing the tower, it takes away from your overall game. I know you spend some time clearing guys out of your net front. It has a draining effect when you're constantly fishing guys off your goaltender.
It does. It does feel good, though, when you cross-check them where there's no pads. That makes it all worthwhile. That is.
But you know what? The Oilers have the guys that are ready to take it. I mean,
They do.
you see? How about the? I can't believe, since I'm on your pod, that we haven't talked about the Freddie Haig tilt. I mean, I said you needed a CompuBox. Have you seen that number of sheer punches, like punching volume in that fight? I'm not sure there's been a fight in the league this year that had more punches than that one had.
Their arms were so tired. Absolutely tired. It was a great tilt. Great tilt. Well, Jack, thanks for this. Have a great call tonight. We look forward to hearing it. We expect fireworks down in Vegas again.
No comment on my setup. I thought I was very artistic today.
It's beautiful. I love how you have it framed in the middle. Listen, we expect
I'm almost
nothing less.
exploding out of the scoreboard.
Louis must have helped you with that one.
Cheers, Struddy.
Thanks, buddy.
Always a pleasure.
Have a great one. You can find Jack Michaels online on Twitter at EdmontonJack. At EdmontonJack is where you find him on Twitter. One of the great guys. Zubie. Great information there. It's true. Vegas top guys aren't scoring. They got to hope that continues if you're an Oilers fan tonight.
For a minute there, I thought Jack was giving us remember the SCTV 3D movies? That's what I thought he was going for there. Yeah. You know what? I'm a goalie, so I never played out, and I certainly never played at this level, but I always thought shots on goal is a thing that is so within your reach of what you could do to just kind of get things going. So I understand you're always looking for a goal more than a shot, but I always wonder why guys who are having trouble finding something don't just get out wide across the blue line and blast one. At least put it on net, get the feel of putting it on net, and maybe hope for a rebound or something. So if I were a Vegas fan, that's what I'd be wanting those guys to do. But I'm happy with how things are as an Oiler fan.
100%. And don't look shots off. If you see a shot, take it. Don't look it off, right? Oh. Like if you're not feeling it, get it to the net, and don't aim for a keyhole. Aim for the middle of the net.
Yes.
And you'll probably miss that shot, and it might go in the corner. Right? That's what I had a coach tell me. He's like, "Why do you always pick corners?" I'm like, "Because I'm trying to score." He's like, "Don't aim for corners. Aim for the middle, because you're going to miss your shot and you're going to surprise the goalie." I'm like, "Well, that's not very confidence building, but it does actually make sense."
Yeah.
Okay, well, great stuff. Let's take a pause here, Zoobs. When we come back, time for Struddy's buddy with our good buddy Darren Dreger. New coaches in the NHL. We'll find out who and where next on the show. Stay with us.
Dennis here from Weiss Johnson. Are you looking to get into the trades or have a kid graduating high school wondering what to do? Weiss Johnson is looking for career-minded people to work for us. Opportunities truly are endless. Become a service technician, gas fitter, refrigeration technician, install residential or commercial heating and plumbing systems, fireplace installations or service, duct cleaning. We are the company where you can learn all aspects of the trade and pick which career path to take. We have an awesome benefits package and offer school reimbursement too. Visit wjcareers.com today.
McDonald's new cheesy jalapeno and bacon quarter pounder with 100% Canadian beef is here. So if you crave beefy burgers with a pretty peppery punch and pickled jalapeno peppers piled in a perfect bunch, and if you please if a cheesy taste came in threes with cheesy jalapeno pepper sauce poured with ease, and if smoky strips of bacon make burgers better, you'll love our cheesy jalapeno and bacon quarter pounder. Get this beefy, bold, bacony, melty mouthful only at McDonald's for a limited time.
Specializing in heavy-duty commercial truck powertrain repair, performance, tuning, and part sales, Adrenaline Diesel's professional team is ready to assist you with all of your needs, from the simplest oil changes to engine conversions, overhauls, and engine modifications. Featuring an all-new online parts store and machine shop to manufacture, replicate, or repair parts, visit adrenalinediesel.ca.
right, the new graphics. Very, very cool. If you're not with us on YouTube right now, zooming in, it's Zubie's really been working overtime. Very classy. You might have to get that tattooed on me.
I got some other ones coming too. There's another one I actually forgot I was going to load it up for today, but that'll be a big reveal for next week.
Can't wait. We'll tune in, check it out next week. By the way, next week will be a Tuesday show. I'm going to get hair plant transportation. I'm going to go to Turkey and just get a consultation, not a transportation. That's probably a little bit different situation. Okay, let's get now to Struddy's Buddy, brought to you by HSC Core Services. If you're a small to medium-sized business, HSC Core has your back when it comes to health and safety compliance. From creating and managing a tailored health and safety program that meets all legislation and core requirements, HSC Core supports clients' operations every step of the way. Visit www.hsccor.com. That's hsccor.com for more info. Don't Dregs dressed up for me. Do you have a lunch date or something I should know about?
Breaking news on the DarrenDreger podcast.
I love it.
The hiring of Adam Foote.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So no, I had to put on the sports jacket, the dress shirt, because following the emergency podcast, which we had earlier, then I had to go into Gino's House of Pain. And that's what I call Gino Retta's time, where we do a 6 or a 7 minute real quick thing for digital, which is spotted on tsn.ca. So a lot going on, Struddy, but a pleasure always to join you. And I heard your introduction talking about the hair situation.
Yeah.
Now, I was with Noodles last night watching the Jets game, Jets-Dallas, and there may have been a discussion on this. Glenn Schiller, I believe, had some sort of link, which Noodles was quick, hey, Shells, you got to send that to me. Did Noodles forward this website article to you?
I have not yet. Was it related to a location that may help you recoup some hair?
Well, you specifically, not me. It was all about you. That was why. I feel like I've kind of maybe interrupted a gag or some sort of prank. When are you next on Overdrive? Because now you're prepared. For what's coming your way.
Well, I'll say this. Number one, Noodles is developing a massive monkey bum that he has to deal with. Like, it is really bad. Number two, the next time on Overdrive is when the Oilers lose or the Leafs win. They don't have me on if the Leafs are losing and if the Oilers are winning. They just don't let it happen. So it doesn't make sense.
Why would they? No, it doesn't.
Dregs.
Sorry, Struddy, can I interrupt? Dregs, I know you were checking your headset before. We might have I don't feel like we've got your proper mic, so I'm not sure if something happened while you were messing around with that.
No.
Producing on the fly, but
Zub, you're the guru here. I don't know. How would I know? And how would I fix that on the fly? Like,
if you don't know, then we'll probably just forge ahead here. We can hear you, just a little echoey. Weird. That's okay. We'll forge ahead.
Okay. We'll go for it. So a couple coaching updates. Adam Foote, with no head coaching experience in NHL, is now the coach of the Canucks. Is that, maybe lead us how that came about?
Struddy, it speaks to familiarity and the work, obviously, that Foote did as a member of the Rick Tocchet bench in Vancouver. Jim Rutherford, Patrick Alvin got to know Adam Foote very, very well. And I mean, you know this, like yes, of course, assistant coaches have certain roles, but it's not like, you stay in your lane and you don't contribute in other areas. So people have this misconception that, Adam Foote, oh my God, he was a warrior. He was such a strong NHL defenseman. What does he know about offense, which is pretty much what the Vancouver Canucks lack above all else. But I mean, his resume goes far deeper than that. And in one of the segments I did a short while ago, I reminded, and I know we're in different eras now, but when he played with some of the game's greats, including Joe Sakic and Patrick Roy. And I remember having conversations with those men about how they would strategize and work on their power play, even without the coaching staff. Those three guys, the goalie, the star center, and the defenseman. So Footer knows a thing or two about what it takes to generate some offense. But I do think that it's about familiarity here. They've got some huge hurdles to overcome. Quinn Hughes in the next couple of years. I know the relationship with Hughes and Foote is also very, very strong. And I wouldn't say it came down to two guys, because as of last night, as we were zeroing in on who it was going to be, it felt like it was Foote, it was Manny Malhotra, and one other player. And was that Marco Sturm? Was that Mitch Love? I knew Luke Richardson actually interviewed for the Canucks head coaching job. So they had options, but I think that management felt more comfortable given the direction the team has to go by keeping it in-house.
What does that mean for Manny Malhotra, the coach of their American League team? And he's been there for, I think, 7, 8, 9 years with the organization.
Yeah, it's a good question. And, I mean, he's been around the National Hockey League team, obviously. He's done a decent job in Abbotsford in the American Hockey League. So without knowing that, I assume that he's going to maintain that role as a head coach, but if they feel like there's a better opportunity to bring him to the big club, maybe he works alongside Adam Foote. I don't know. But I mentioned Luke Richardson, Struddy. I'd be surprised if he doesn't join Rick Tocchet in Philadelphia. And I know that if things hadn't worked out for Adam Foote with the Canucks and getting the head coaching job, that he was likely going to join Rick Tocchet as an associate or an assistant coach in Philadelphia. So I'm not sure what they have planned for Malhotra inside that organization. But when they talk to, a bunch of candidates, and some from the American League who have great resumes, by the way, they always came back to the same thing. Well, if we're going to go down that road, why wouldn't we give it to a guy who's done real good things in our American League operation and we know so well? So as long as he wants it, I know there's a place for Manny Malhotra in that organization.
And Rick Tocchet to Philly is done. And what was the appeal for him to go there rather than look at some of the other opportunities around the league?
Yeah, well, have they announced it yet? I know that there was some finalizing that needed to get done. Yeah, it will get done. I mean, it's, they're at a place now where it's just somebody's got to sign off on it and you move forward. And it's a multi-year deal. I think it was very similar to the deal that the Vancouver Canucks offered. So you're talking about a 5-year term, and you're talking about big dollars. I mean, we're talking about significant money here. So yes, Rick Tocchet had options. I believe that he had two offers, one from Philadelphia and the other one from Seattle. And Seattle makes a lot of sense because of the relationship with Jason Botterill, who's the GM now. They would have worked closely together in Pittsburgh. What didn't make sense, I think, for Tocchet, a hurdle that he couldn't overcome was, man, I'm right in Vancouver's back door if I go to Seattle. I'm not doing that to the Vancouver Canucks. I mean, I didn't talk a great deal with Toc when he left Vancouver, but he had nothing but high praise for the Canucks ownership, and most certainly for Patrick Allvin and Jim Rutherford. So even though he likes Botterill, that wasn't going to be the fit. And then he's got the history with Keith Jones and Danny Briere, and I think he believes. And what management is selling there, they know they're not going to be a contending team next year, but they feel like if they make some trades and they play with the big boys in the free agent market, if not this summer, then next summer, that they can get there in a hurry, especially with the development work with Rick Tocchet as their head coach. So Philadelphia just ticked a lot of boxes, I think, for Tocchet.
Huge game 5. Leafs, Florida. The nation will be watching, and most of them will be cheering against the Leafs, but some will be cheering for them. Is it unfair? I hear everyone talking about Matthews and Marner have to step up and deliver in this game. Is that unfair, in your opinion, for those two players against Florida?
It's not unfair. It should be expected. If they don't, it's not from a lack of effort. It's not like these guys aren't working hard and don't want to score. Of course they do. But I do think you have to give credit here to the Florida Panthers and that swarm defense that they employ. They know that the puck is going to be on Austin Matthews' stick in a shooting area. So the goal of their defensive zone coverage is to make sure you take as much time away from Marner so that you force him to make a quicker decision than he'd like to. And maybe that, prevents Austin Matthews from getting set up in that one-time position. Maybe it forces Mitch Marner to make a bad decision or he turns the puck over, all of those things. So I first want to credit the defense, the structure of the Florida Panthers. But I do think that Marner and Matthews, mostly Matthews, because he's the finisher, he's gotten a bit unlucky. And because of that, I do think it's weighing on him. It's not coming as naturally or as instinctually as it normally does. And we saw that in Game 4, where he had a puck in a one-time position and he kind of pauses for a split second and it's deliberate. And the next thing you know, it's in Sergei Bobrovsky's glove. So I would expect that those guys are going to deliver tonight. I do. But how much of that is going to be through their will and how much of that is going to be, the Florida Panthers making D-zone mistakes? Because it feels like that is going to have to happen for Toronto to have that type of success.
Yeah, amazing night of hockey. When you look at Leafs, Florida, then Oilers, Vegas right after. I mean, this is what it's all about.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Well, let me just finish with this. You got to wrap. So I had someone deeply involved in the Florida series on the Florida side of things say to me after the Oilers game the other night, he goes, people keep talking about this series, Toronto and Florida, and it's nasty and it's got this element of bite and this meanness. He goes, no. I watched the Oilers and the Vegas Golden Knights. That's playoff hockey. There's meanness to it. And it doesn't matter who you are, what forward you are, what defenseman you are. If you're battling, you're going into battle. And he goes, that was entertaining hockey. So I don't know. Oilers Vegas have a step up for me in terms of just, again, the playoff type hockey that you expect this time of year.
So well said. Thanks, Dregs. And we'll catch up with you soon. Have a good show tonight, buddy.
Hey, guys. Thank you. Have a good one.
Darren Dreger. Great information there. Obviously, Adam Foote, the new coach of Vancouver. Well, he was there already. I like that. I think it has a little bit of steadying effect on that group where they've had a lot of change when you look at some of the big losses, including Miller and Tocchet, Zubes.
Yeah. Does that feel like a team in the place of promoting from within? You like that idea rather than a big swing, another big change?
Yeah, I think that there's some continuity there. I know Foote, I really admire him as a player. He's not much older than me, maybe 4 or 5 years, but I always admire the way he competed, his respect level and all. So I think that he'll continue on what Tocchet's done. And dude has obviously changed things to fit what he thinks is important, but there's some continuity there. And I think that's important because, you're Quinn Hughes, you're looking around like, do you want to start with another coach and start over again? And where are we going now? So yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg of what has to be done. Brock Besser, another player that's trying to figure out where he's going to be next year. I mean, could you lose Miller and Besser and Tocchet and think you're going to be a playoff team next year? Oh, man, that's hard to believe, Zube.
And lose Besser maybe for nothing. That was a very curious thing to me. I can't imagine there wouldn't have been a playoff bound team that would have given them something of value for Brock Besser. But
yeah. We'll find out if they don't sign him. That's a lot walking out the door for nothing. All right, let's take a quick pause here, Zubes. When we come back, Zubie is going to run playing the field.
Oh.
He's excited. He's got a lot of bullet points we're going to get to next here in the show. And keep your Ask Struddy anything. Keep them coming to the stream. We've got a great stream here. Tell a friend. Give us a thumbs up. We'll be right back with Playing the Field.
If you're considering a vinyl fence, don't be fooled by cheap marketplace imitations. Get top quality vinyl fence from a trusted company with 20 years in the industry. With locations in Calgary and Edmonton, check out dlrvinylproducts.ca. For over 60 years, Belvedere Golf and Country Club has delivered a high-quality membership experience to Edmonton and area. And now it's even better. Drainage and irrigation improvements in 2024 have taken course conditions to a new level. This commitment to long-term sustainability means exceptional playing conditions all season long. Belvedere's tee sheet availability is unmatched, so join now and experience golf the way it was meant to be played, on your schedule. Visit belvederegcc.com today.
Join over 250,000 Canadians who have upgraded to Canada's best mattress. Douglas is proudly made in Canada and ships directly to your door for free. Douglas is easy to set up. Enjoy perfectly balanced comfort and an easy-to-clean machine washable cover. Get a free sleep bundle with your Douglas mattress. Try risk-free for 365 nights. Get your Douglas mattress today.
Welcome back to the show. Now time to Play the Field, brought to you by our buddies at Play Alberta. Playoffs are here. Make every game count with odds boosts, player props, and same-game parlays. There's no better way to raise the stakes while teams fight for those crucial points. Get a $50 free bet this month by depositing with code GYB05. Visit playalberta.ca. Zubie, take her away, buddy.
All right, Struddy. Struddy, you know, back when you're in your teens, maybe high school and 20s, and a friend of yours gets a new girlfriend and it just kind of disrupts things a little bit, might disrupt the timing or the friendship or something like that. You remember feeling that way? Well,
I remember.
This is a little bit bigger than that, but this is the Bill Belichick story, which is him and his much younger girlfriend, and no judgment. What's her name? Hudson. Let me just... Jordan Hudson. Jordan Hudson. Yeah. So lots of controversy going on here, but the latest in this is that Pablo S. Torre, reporter, sportscaster, he says there is a chance, an absolutely real chance, that he, Bill Belichick, doesn't make it to week 1 with North Carolina. Might not even coach a game for them. And the key point here is that he says that the June 1st is a key date here because his contract buyout curiously drops from $10 million to $1 million on June the 1st. So this is just so bizarre. It's not really a sports story. It's a personal story, but can you remember anything this crazy with a coach or like a person with this kind of legacy having so much controversy and strain around their job performance or job, security?
This feels like the opposite of how he was with New England. He was private. He was reserved, kept everything internal. Were there whispers? Of course, there's whispers around everything, even ironclad situations. But he was a guy that kept everything quiet. And now, with in his new relationship, there seems to just be a lot of things going on. He's doing different interviews. He's doing one, I believe, this Friday with Michael Strahan on Good Morning America, which, like, why? What, you're Bill Belichick. Why? You've never done it before. It's not like he has a history of this. A guy that likes to be in front of the cameras and talk about things all the time. That's not him. So it's just really interesting. He had such a change. And I guess people can change. Generally not in their 8th decade of life do they have a massive change like this. But I do find it interesting that he is making these choices now. And it seems so un-Bill Belichick-like.
That's the big, I think you hit the nail on the head there. That's the biggest issue is it's so different. And it's under the guise of him, I think promoting that he's written a book, but it feels like in the past, even if he wrote a book, it would just be on Amazon, right, and you'd have to find out for yourself. It wouldn't be him doing the media blitz. So it does feel very different. It is a strange set of circumstances. I hope the best for him. I want to see him coach again, but this new report is now bringing that into question as well. So unusual stuff there, to say the least. Let's move on quickly to draft lotteries, Struddy. So the 2 draft lotteries happened, the NHL and the NBA. So the NHL draft lottery last week or whenever that was, the New York Islanders win it. They were the 2nd worst odds to get the first overall pick. Only 11 teams are available in it. The Islanders get it. They had a 3.5% chance of getting the first overall pick. Then the NBA has their draft lottery, and the Dallas Mavericks with a 1.8% chance of picking first overall will draft first in the upcoming draft. I have mixed feelings on this. It seems fun and exciting to have the teams that just missed the playoffs kind of be involved on this. But does it seem crazy that a team that finished that close to the playoff cut actually has this chance to pick first overall? You think about a team finishing maybe in the bottom 3 or bottom 5 of the NHL next year and missing out on Gavin McKenna, on not even one of those teams being the team to pick it. What do you think? Are draft lotteries, have they gone too far, Struddy?
Well, I think one of the options you'd have was to, really significantly increase those top 3 people, right? Give them more and more chance. So the chances for those at the bottom become less. There's still a chance, obviously. The problem with that is you're rewarding tanking, or possibly rewarding tanking. So I'd actually see the stretch the odds the other way so that you don't reward tanking, right? You don't want teams just going right, tearing it down to nothing, and then guaranteeing them the first overall pick. And Gavin McKennan's going to have a huge impact on whatever team he goes to. But I just don't think you want to reward the tank. The tank is not, fan bases don't deserve the tank to watch. And we saw it here with Edmonton, right? For a couple of years. But you don't want to see that. Teams, fans shouldn't have to go through that. So I'd keep them where they're at. I'd even slide it back the other way, where now you're taking some of those top percentages and pushing it down further, so that teams aren't saying we're going to just strip this down, lose on purpose, and get the first pick.
I guess so. I still think I'd like to see it. I'm okay with having the draft lotteries. I'd like to see it be the bottom 3 or the bottom 5. You look at even in the NHL lottery, San Jose had a 25% chance this year. That's still, you're more likely than not picking first overall. 75,
right.
The rest of you have the best odds individually, but the other teams have a combined nearly 75%. I don't think it should be that way. I think it should be a massively loaded in the bottom 3 or bottom 5. And then literally a lottery chance for the teams maybe outside of that. But there will be some controversy if a team like the Islanders that close to the playoff cut wins it again next year. We shall see. Okay, last one here on Playing the Field. The PWHL, I wanted to mention this. If you're not following the PWHL in their playoffs, and Montreal and Ottawa in Game 2 of their best-of-5 series went to 4 overtimes, Struddy. 75 minutes of additional play before Catherine Dubois scored to give that game to Montreal. But there's an interesting little side note here that's kind of made the rounds on social media, which is that to keep the players from cramping, this is the Post, the PWHL Ottawa trainer started taping packs of mustard to the bench. Apparently eating mustard can prevent cramping after playing this long. There are apparently other remedies, pickle juice, and there's also, they were feeding them sandwiches and things in between periods, but you're not allowed to have those things on the bench. So this is what they did to have it on the bench, and I thought that was really cool. This has kind of turned into this like little mini viral moment. But Struddy, did you ever play in a game so long that you had to be squeezing mustard packets on the bench?
I never did. I never did. Although I heard of players, what they would do is they would, in long overtime situations, they just bring pizzas in for the guys. I mean, you think about it, you never eat a pizza before a game, right? You're trying to get everything healthy you can in your body. But when you're going 4, 5, 6 periods into a game, you're eating anything you get your hands on. And
Right.
Chris Joseph told me one time he was playing with Pittsburgh. I think it went to 4 overtimes, if I remember correctly. Mary Lemieux had been kicked out of the game early. So Mary would come in after intermission and talk to the guys, and they were eating everything they could. They had, protein bars and those little kind of suck-it packets. And after the third overtime, the guys were like, "Oh, we're so hungry." Mary was like, "Well, we've been eating pizza over here. We had some on the bus. Do you want me to grab them?" So the guys are sure. So Mary Lemieux went to the bus, picked up all the pizzas, brought them back in for the guys, and the guys ate all the pizzas, and they ended up ultimately winning that game. But like Mario goes, it was so funny. He's like, Mario's like, "Oh, we're full. We've been eating pizza over here the whole time." So anyway, Mario and So really, once you get past a certain point, my experience with guys have told me is that they eat anything they can, and it's pretty fun.
It's what makes that story funnier is that it's Mario, not that it's like a Black Ace guy or something, like somebody who didn't get to dress. It's like Mario, the one who's like, "Hey, we're eating pizza here, guys. You want to join us?"
Yeah, and they're like, "We'll send someone else." Like, no, I'll go get them. So Mario went and got them, and Joey said they put them down, and everyone just started pounding these pizzas. So it ended well, and it was well done there. So we'll see. Hopefully we don't see long overtime tonight. Of course, we have our Got Your Back podcast post-game tonight, or right after Vegas and Oilers. We hope a win, so the Oilers can wrap it up, and no overtime. We want this to be clean, quick, and smooth so the Oilers can rest.
Yeah,
all right,
like
that was
overtime for everybody else. I'd like to see a good
right.
long overtime, but I don't want it to be an Oilers game.
At least Florida, 6 overtimes.
Absolutely.
We don't need it with the Oilers and Vegas. That was Playing the Field. Now it's time to get off the fence. Brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. As Alberta's #1 vinyl product supplier, DLR offers top quality materials to build a fence or a deck that won't rot, fade, or fall apart. If you need a skilled contractor to take care of the job or prefer a DIY approach, DLR can help set you up with all you need. Canadian owned and operated with locations in Calgary and Edmonton. Visit them today online at dlrvinylproducts.ca. This is a tough one because I've had this on my radar for a long time. It was announced last night that the commissioner of the Major League Baseball will remove many people from the not eligible list, and that in baseball because of different things that happen. Like we're looking at Pete Rose, Shoeless Joe Jackson's other members of that White Sox team from the early 1900s
for the Hall of Fame. Just to clarify,
for the Hall of Fame. Yeah. Yep. So they're now eligible to be part of the Baseball Hall of Fame in New York. Hall of Fame and Museum, I should say. Guys, this is so long overdue. Was Pete Rose an imperfect human? 100%. He was a gambler. He was crude. He was rough around the edges, but he's not the first person to be like that is in a Hall of Fame. And this isn't a Hall of Fame of people. It's a Hall of Fame and museum, a history of the sport. How do you have a sport Hall of Fame without Pete Rose in it? He is a massive part of the history. You look at the hits, the way he played. I think he was a 17-time All-Star. The way he accomplished so much in his game, even the gambling, that is part of your history, baseball. That is a part of it. Is it a dirty part? Yes, it is, but it's still a part of it. So now I'm guessing the voters may look at, and at some point he will be put in the Hall of Fame now that he's passed away. I find this is the wrong choice. It's gross. He should have been put in before. Was he imperfect human? 100% he was. But it's not a place you put perfect people. It is a history of your game, and he is a big part of that history, Zubie. I suppose I'm happy that he's going to hopefully get in now, but it's long overdue, and Major League Baseball got this wrong.
Yeah, and I think, we did talk about this one other time, and I think I said, and I kind of stand by it. It's almost a slap in the face to put him in or allow him to go in after he's dead. I mean, I guess it'll be nice for his family and, to celebrate him in that way, but he wanted it so bad. He really wanted it. I understand Rob Manfred, the commissioner of Major League Baseball, said something along the lines of that because they're passed away, they're no longer a threat to the integrity of the game in any way. So that's kind of his reason behind the ruling. But I don't know. I'll be happy for him. I think hopefully people can celebrate him in the right way when he goes in. But it doesn't. In some ways, it feels like a kick in the teeth. But it was, I suppose, truly a life sentence as they indicated that he was banned for life.
Yeah, banned for life. Absolutely banned for life. Michael East Coast says, great ball player, deserves to be there. 100%. Was he a perfect person? No, he wasn't. He was not perfect. But there's others in there that are not perfect. And you go back, there are many different things that are affecting humans at, early in the tenure of baseball. And there was bad decisions being made all over the place. And I understand some experts are saying they're using it as a threat. If you are not a good human as a baseball player, you won't get in the Hall of Fame. There's already bad humans in the Hall of Fame, right? There's people that make, so now we're nitpicking which ones are right and wrong. And I say it once, I'll say it again. It is a museum. It is not a church. It is a museum of your history, of your game. Show the whole history. And Pete Rose is a massive part of that history.
Yeah, he certainly can't be held out of that aspect of it, Struddy. You're absolutely right.
So if you have any opinions on that, shoot us a text in here into the stream. We'd love to hear from you. Great stream today. But Zubie,
really good.
Now let's get into Ask Struds, brought to you by our good buddies over at McDonald's. They've got your cravings covered with their $5.99 McValue meals. Pick from favorites like Junior Chicken, the Snack Wrap, or the McDouble McValue Meal. Made with 100% Canadian beef patties, produced just down the road in Spruce Grove, Alberta. Which meal is your game day starter? You're going to need something tonight. It's not going to be an overtime game, let's hope.
Yeah.
But you got to fuel up the body, ready to go for what will be a fun, exciting Game 5.
Absolutely. Get some protein in you. Riot's Edge says, this is the most relaxed I've been as a fan in the playoffs. I wonder if the Oilers feel the same. How are they feeling tonight, Struds? Are they? What do you think? What do you think the kind of overall feeling in the room is going into this game with this 3-1 lead on the road?
Yeah, I like that. So the Oilers fans are relaxed, which is interesting because I feel like they're always stressed. I think that the Oilers understand the path forward and how they have to play. And I covered a lot earlier about what Vegas has to do. So let's review what the Oilers have to do. They've got to come out with energy and set the tone physically right away. It works for them when they play that way. They've got to do it again. Number two, they've got to be good defensively, be sharp defensively, good changes, be above the puck. Leon was above Eichel all the time, just like they were doing to McDavid. He did to Eichel, slowed Eichel's down, his attack down. And three, the penalty kill was much more aggressive, and their sticks are in really good position. Those off the top of my head are the three things Oilers did well or better in Game 4, Zubie, and it really played well out for them. So I don't think they're nervous. I think they know the path forward. They just have to bring their A game, because I know Vegas will for sure tonight in Game 5.
Do you think if they know or they're expecting a big push out of Vegas, really pushing to be physical, crash the crease, try to get the first goal, like you said, do you think the message is to try to counterpunch that, or to weather the storm, or is weathering the storm never the message? It's just what you do if you're forced to?
Well, I think that the first 10 minutes is huge, right? So they'll say that, hey guys, let's just get through the first 10 minutes. Let's put the puck in safe areas, manage the puck. Let's try to get our hits in. But if we can get through the first 10, 0-0, now all of a sudden we'll get our game going, because Vegas is going to come up with a massive push. For sure they are. They have to. We heard Bruce Cassidy earlier say we got to play at the lead. Yeah, that's clear. They come out, they're a different team when they get the lead. So I think the Oilers will say, let's manage it. But still, they want to impose their will in this game. But you probably got to get through about 8, 9, 10 minutes before you can really, Vegas will come down to earth a little bit, and then you can put your imprint on the game.
JP, our buddy here, chiming in saying, start the Kane, Rico, Hyman line. Who do you think starts it? Does it matter? Is that part of would be part of a game plan with what you're expecting from Vegas as well?
I like it because I think it sets the tone. So I believe your first line isn't your best line. It's the one that's going to set the tone with attitude. What more of a line do you want to set the attitude than those three gentlemen? So yes, I think that is who I would start. Who would you start, Zubes?
Yeah, I like that. I like it being not Connor and not Leon, just for that. I like coming in there with something different. So that would be the next lineup for me too as well. Let's go to Rye Guy. He's got a pretty interesting perspective here. I think he says Oilers are proving they don't need to score first, have a hot power play or PK, have the better goalie or home ice advantage, etc. So I guess you're turning to look at the depth, but how are they winning? Because they're not really winning with any of that stuff, are they?
Yeah. Well, I think last game they had the better goalie.
Yes.
I didn't like Kane's goal.
No.
I didn't necessarily love that one. Now it may have been tipped or boggled, but still that's a fairly tough one to swallow if you're on his team. The PK I thought was really good last game as well. They didn't score a power play, I don't believe, so we call that a saw off. What others? His first goal. They scored the first goal last game. So I think that the Oilers don't do things the easy way. Let's put it that way. But they do have a lot of resilience, and they're very calm when things go a little haywire. So even if the Oilers get down 2-0, is it over? No, I don't think it's over at all. And I think that's what scares Vegas. So I think the Oilers have done a lot of things right, especially in Game 1 and 4. And it just depends which team will bring their best game, the team that played 1 and 4 or Vegas in 2 and 3.
Yeah, that game, Game 4 obviously was a little bit of an outlier of what that guy was talking about in the comment, but I understand where he was going with that they've been doing things sort of unconventionally as far as the things you supposedly need to do to win games in the playoffs. I don't think we actually talked about this on any of the pods, but it was made the rounds, of course. Did you see Hurdle smoke his own trainer in the head with his stick in frustration on the Vegas bench in Game 2? And then very funny, there was a fan in Edmonton, I don't know if you saw, dressed with a neck brace and a big head bandage that sat right behind Vegas's bench and had a funny sign. Have you ever seen anything to that degree before, Struddy, on a bench?
Well, it's always scary when guys come off, they're not happy, and they try to break their stick. And you'll see a lot of times they'll slam them on the dasher or the top of the boards and just lose their mind. And the puck or the stick can go flying all over the place. You don't know what's going to happen. So I always recommend, if you're going to snap on the way to the bench, just south of it or just north of it. Slam your stick against the wall. One of my favorites I always watch is when a guy breaks his stick on the net. What'd the stick do? You made a bad play. You got to eat that one. So I did see it, though, and you'd feel terrible. I can't tell you how important trainers are in a dressing room and how much affection you have for these guys. What they do for you, they're like they make sure everything's set. They look after you physically, order your equipment. sometimes they're psychologists to talk you off the ledge, or sometimes to get you going, if you need it. They are everything for it. So I'm sure that Hurdle felt sick about it, because hurting your trainer is the last person you want to hurt on that bench.
Jay Strongside says, do you see 29 really showing himself as a goal scorer tonight? That could be kind of it sounds like Jack said the lines are going to be the same. Hard to say for sure if that role will be the same for Leon, because of course they don't have last change in Vegas. But do you think maybe I feel like that could be the twist tonight in this game, is that Leon gets a power play goal from his spot and turns this game. Do you think Leon's going to factor in that way tonight?
They're just too good of scorers to not score. And so I think, they obviously they have the ability to do it. The matchup with Jack, the problem is that it went very well for the Oilers last game. So I have a hard time anticipating a situation where Vegas is going to put Eichel out against Draisaitl. They're looking for different options. So does that mean that they want Eichel against Connor? Maybe, maybe. Or is it Eichel against Henrique? Maybe. But then the problem, if you have him out against Henrique, well, then you have Draisaitl and Leon out against Hurdle or these different guys. So I think the matchup game will be interesting tonight, but I do believe they will not want Leon against Eichel for sure. So that's a long way of saying if he's not against them, maybe his role changed a little bit, and now his role becomes more of trying to create and score offense by even, dare I say, cheating every now and then on the ice.
Well, they matched Eichel against McDavid, I believe, right? In the first two games at home, and he did a really good job in sort of similar thing. Of course, he had that great offensive game as well. Was that game 3 that he was in the game they won? The game that they won, yeah. He had he had 3 assists in one game. Now it's even escaping me. I can't remember if it was.
I think it is. I think it was. And it'll be, let's see what happens. But I just wouldn't put Eichel against Leon. I just wouldn't. I think Leon had it dialed in last game. And then they have to figure out who else they play against him, right? And then if he does do that, does Knobloch now add a different player to maybe one of the 2 wings for those guys to give him a little more juice, a little more scoring punch? So we'll see. That's the game within the game here that we don't really know until the puck drops tonight.
All right, a couple of fun ones here to wrap it up. Original Posar says, Jason, did you ever massacre a reporter's name the way Skinner did Shoggers? Ryan Rashad, he called him, of course. The way Skinner did Shoggers yesterday. Any memorable media scrums from your playing days?
You know what? No, I never addressed a guy with his name. Like in the middle of an interview, I didn't say like, hey, Chris, thanks a lot for this interview. Like I never did. And it wasn't that I was being disrespectful. I just was standing there just answering questions. Now, I wasn't in front of the cameras as much as Skinner or McDavid and those guys for sure. I'm not going to try to inflate what my value was on the team, but I never ever addressed anyone by their name when they asked me a question, not one time. So any other media scrums interesting? Not really. I mean, I remember sometimes I would get frustrated when a media guy would try to lead you to give the answer they want. And I would shut down, and I'd often change the line of questioning. And they would get frustrated because they were trying to get me to say something that they wanted me to say. And I'm like, I'm not saying that ever. I would never say it that way. And I remember one exchange we had, and it wasn't anything bad, but afterwards, to his credit, the media member came back and apologized to me the next day and said I was wrong there. And I'm like, okay, no problem. Like, and I wasn't mad, but it was just like, it was wrong. You can't lead a player to tell them what you want to hear. Like, then why bother asking the question? Just say it. This is what I think, rather than asking me to kind of say what you want. So
I feel like in those instances, and I'm kind of wise to that, listening to more and more post game, I feel like that's a case where the reporter's already got his story written and now he just needs the sound bites to fill it in,
Yeah, fill in blank with quote from this player
who is angry about referees or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we talked about this on another episode, but maybe it did get asked today. So I think when I went on my rant about the Oilers goal song, we might've talked about individual goal songs. JL said, ask Struddy, what would your personal goal song be?
I'd want it to be off the, like something completely different.
Yeah.
And I really feel like something by Neil Diamond is different. Maybe ABBA or Neil Diamond. Just like I love pump up songs. Obviously, when I was playing, it was like Metallica, AC/DC, and they're still popular. But can you imagine you score a goal and all of a sudden Cracklin' Rosie by Neil Diamond comes up? Like, people couldn't wait for me to score again, to hear that one. And I would be so disappointed if I went a whole year without scoring at home so they couldn't hear Cracklin' Rosie. Maybe they played for assists. Maybe they do that for assists for mine. But yeah, I think something that's unique, not obvious.
Yeah. I think too, for kind of non-goal scorers, when they do the personalized goal songs, it's got to be something really unique to really take people by surprise when they do hear it. So that would be pretty awesome. I remember I never, I always played goal. But I remember one of my buddies saying that their goalie, he played like AAA. Actually, he's watching the show right now, Brody McIntyre. Shout out. Hey, buddy. He texted me. He told me one of their goalies, when he made a big save, they'd play Too Legit to Quit by MC Hammer after. And I'm like, yes. Could you imagine sitting there soaking that up after you wound up a big glove save for 30 seconds or a minute? Pretty awesome.
Yeah, my junior goalie, they played You're Unbelievable. You're unbelievable. Right. Oh,
yeah.
I mean, we heard it a lot. He was a good goalie, Steve Passmore. So
I
by the end of my time with him, I was like, enough. I've heard this enough.
I got a couple of good. Hamilton says Kim Mitchell. You said you did actually. Oh, you talked about Kim Mitchell as being a locker room song. Patio Lanterns.
Patio Lanterns. I love that song.
Yeah,
and that might be one of my songs too. I'd have to think about it. You can't put me on the spot here. I need a lot of time to make flow charts to get it right. But one of those three, Neil Diamond, Kim Mitchell, or ABBA would probably be on my for sure list.
I feel like you'd make a list of about 50 songs and then just start eliminating. No, I feel like that would be your process to get it down. Well, maybe we'll do that one day. Okay, last one. Do you maybe you want to do this, maybe you don't. People are asking for a prediction for tonight. The next time they see us, this game, maybe the series, but the game will be done and dusted. Do you have a gut feeling?
Yeah, I believe the Oilers are going to win tonight. And they're going to frustrate Vegas with the lack of offense that Vegas creates. I think they're going to double down on being physical and double down on how tight they are defensively. So I'm going to go 4-1 Oilers tonight, and it's over. And I'm sure I'll be wrong because I never write predictions, but I think that's what I'm looking at, a 4-1 win. What do you got one for us, Zoobs?
I got 3-2 Oilers, and I think it's going to be really close. I think Vegas probably scores first. And I think it's going to be really close, and they really pressure, and Stu stands up in the last couple of minutes and gets it done.
Makes sense. Well, either way, we'll be here to celebrate with you or to talk you off of a frustrating loss for the Oilers. But we'll be there tonight, post game, maybe a little bit earlier because it's a road game and the boys will be able to get organized a little quicker. Zubie, any final thoughts as we head out to pasture this afternoon?
No, I'm excited. This is my three podcast day, and with a little Ray and Dregs live insert, it turned out to be 3.5. So this is a good 18-hour shift I'm putting in today. So, but it's all fun. It's playoffs is such an exciting time of year. It's the best time to be doing it.
Can't wait. All right. Thank you to all our sponsors. Thank you to Zoobs, our guest, Darren Dreger, Jack Michaels, the voice of your Edmonton Oilers, and to you. Thanks for tuning in over your lunch hour. Tell a friend if you like what you hear. Give us a rating on Spotify. Really appreciate you joining us. We'll be back next Tuesday, not Wednesday, Tuesday, because of my hair transplant look into Turkey. But we'll see you all tonight, post-game with a Got Your Back, Zubie, Brownie, Shagar, and myself. Have a great night tonight. Let's get this done, Oilers.
See you then. Good afternoon, everybody.